My name's Laurel.
Okay.
I'll be talking to you today.
All right.
I'm a member of Oath Keepers. I'm also a member of We Are Change. And I'm curious to ask your opinion as a sheriff, how the citizens of Texas would approach their local sheriffs in case martial law, forced vaccinations.
The whole thing on all of that needs to be preemptive. I mean, we need to see what is probably coming down. Looking at the Obama administration, it's not hard to see that they're coming after guns. I mean, every major gun grabber is on that cabinet. Also, that they're big government, more regulation, more controls, and more worship of the great and almighty federal government. What really has, in the first year, 10 months that Obama's been in office, what has happened? He's looked at everything the Bush administration was doing wrong and has taken all of that to the 10th power and exercised it even more. Big government, he's done it even worse. Spending, he's done it even worse. Bailouts, he's done it even worse. The only thing he hasn't done is got us involved in foreign conflicts that he shouldn't, but he took over and hasn't got us out of them, and he's increasing that as well. And almost all of this, especially his involvement in the foreign conflicts, is a campaign promise that he has broken. So again, we have socialism, anti-American government that is completely contrary to our Constitution. So what does a citizen do in Texas to make sure that they are protected from either forced vaccinations, which, you know, there's been dates that have said that it was going to happen in October. Lots of vaccinations are happening. The propaganda behind the vaccination, but I haven't seen any forced vaccinations. However, whether there are or not, every citizen in Texas who is concerned about that should be talking to their sheriff about it, just as I did my sheriff in Arizona, and as I did Sheriff Joe Arpaio in Phoenix, probably the most popular, famous sheriff in the world. And I said, what happens if they have forced vaccinations in your county? He says, I won't allow it. Everybody needs to ask their sheriff the same thing. Don't go to the sheriff and say, well, we know there's going to be forced vaccinations, and they're going to come in here with UN troops, and they're going to force us to do this and this and this, and there's going to be roadblocks for vaccinations. Go in and say, Sheriff, what if they force your citizens that you swore an oath to protect? What if the federal government or state or county officials want to force people to take the vaccination? Or if we refuse, are they going to force us into quarantine camps? And you get the sheriffs to tell you what their plan is. If they don't have a plan, you devise one with them. But the easiest way for the sheriff to handle that would be, we're going to let people know right up front that there will be no forced vaccinations here in this county. Not as long as I'm sheriff.
So as a sheriff,
It has to be preemptive.
right?
You can't wait for the problem to occur
I
and
agree.
then hope the sheriff can stop all of it.
Right.
It's a lot easier to take preemptive action.
So as a sheriff, what sort of guarantees should they be giving the people that elected them?
Well, the guarantee that he gave them when he took his oath of office.
Right.
He promised to uphold and defend and protect their constitutional rights. And so my book is actually that wake-up call for the sheriff. Okay, you promised to do this. Why shouldn't your people feel trust and confidence that you will keep your oath of office? It's right back to the Oath Keeper message.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, will you keep your oath? You gave your word. You raised your right arm. This is a solemn promise. This is your word of honor that you would uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. Will you protect your citizens from tyranny? That's the ultimate question for every sheriff in this country. Can you imagine that there would actually be a sheriff that would say, no, I won't protect you from tyranny. It's not my job. I don't have the jurisdiction. You know, I wish I could protect you from the IRS. You know, I know the IRS has committed a lot of crimes in our country, but, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. Well, that's just plain old BS. The sheriff can do something about it. And how about a sheriff saying, as long as I am sheriff, you know what? They might get me out of here, but it's more important for me to keep my word than it is for me to keep my job. And I'm going to protect you. I don't care if it's just one person that I have to protect from tyranny. I'll do it. And when that happens, when the sheriffs do that all across this country, you get your freedom back.
I agree with you, sir. I think it's the way to go.
It is.
Perhaps we can recruit all the sheriffs into the Oath Keepers?
I think that would be great.
That should be a goal,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah. Two things. Get every sheriff in this country my book, and get every one of them to join Oath Keepers. There's only 3,100 of them. Now, are we going to get all the sheriffs? No. I legitimately think and feel that we can honestly get at least a third of them. And if we get a third of the sheriffs of this country, we win.
Yeah, I agree.
We win.